Friendlies in sight. Building in sight. South to north. Run in hot.
Hey killers, SheepDog here. In this video we're going to look at how you can use VoiceAttack with Snapviews. I did an earlier video on this on how to create those Snapviews. I'll leave a link for that in the description. For now we're going to jump into the cockpit and give you a quick demo on how I'm using VoiceAttack with Snapviews. So let's get to it. Left console. Radio stack. Left MFD. Right console. CDU. Right MFD. Dash. Recenter. Set refuel. Recenter. Okay, now that you've seen what I do with VoiceAttack and where we're headed, the next thing is to go out and get it and download it if you don't already have it. You can get it for free from the VoiceAttack website. Note, with the free version, you can only do 20 commands for $10 US. You get unlimited access. I've been using it for years. It's cheap. I highly recommend buying it. I don't get anything from it if you do. Either way, you're going to need that for the rest of this video. Okay, so assuming you got VoiceAttack installed correctly and it's the first time you've ever used it, the next thing you'll want to do is there's a little plus button here. You can create a new profile when you click that. With the left mouse button, create new profile, and then you can name it whatever you want. As you see here, there's no command, so it'll be blank and empty. You do have other options. If you have an existing profile, you can just hit edit and we can add new commands. You also have the option, if you find someone has created a profile with commands that you really like, you can download that and you can import profile. In this video, we're not going to get too detailed with how to set up and configure VoiceAttack and other profiles and actually use it. The main focus here is how can I create new commands to use Snapviews. So let's get into that next. So now let's get into creating new commands. I've deleted my right MFD, so we're going to recreate that. It's going to be a snap view. We can actually put these commands into categories, make it a little bit easier to find. The first thing we want to do is go to new command. And just so we don't forget, we can come down here and start in the description. This is going to be for my right MFD. And the category should already be in here because we have it created as Snapviews, or you can create a new one. Up here on when I say, any words you put here will be the command you can use to execute. You can use multiple words by using asterisks and semicolons. The first one here I want to do is going to be right MFD. So real quick, look at how I spaced out the letters there. If you're going to be using a command that's using letters, it's much better in VoiceAttack to space that out instead of having it together where I would think it was a word. So spacing it out as M space F space D makes it a little bit easier for it to recognize. The other commands that we want to try here, let's see, nav might work. Semicolon, and then TGP, which are letters, as we just said. So T space G space P with asterisks. So there's three different commands I could use to execute this snap view that we're going to work on. The next thing we want to do is actually set the key press. So the default in VoiceAttack is press and release a key. For a snap view, I want to press and hold. So I'm actually going to use this command called press keys. The command that I have set up would be the number 9 key for my numpad. So you see that identified here, and I'm going to hit OK. So what would happen right now is if I was to use one of these commands, say right MFD or nav or TGP, it would press and hold the number 9 key. Now we want to have some error handling in here. Let's assume that we're already in another view. and we need to release, pop into this other view we want to look at. So we actually need to do a release of all these keys before this one's executed. So we're going to do another key press. We're going to use the release keys option, and I'm going to start with the 0 from the numpad, so num0, and that'll be our first release. Now we're going to repeat this for every key that we need to release. So it's going to release every view in case we're already in a snap view, and then go to this view. So I'm going to just go real easy here and duplicate all these first. So that'll be like view 1, view 2, view 3, view 4. We actually skip the number 5 key. That's a default view, so we don't even use that. So we're going to go to 6, and then 7, and 8, and we don't have to do 9 because that's already here. The next thing you want to do is these are executed in order from top to bottom, so I want that number 9 key to be pressed last. I'm just going to push that all the way down to the bottom of my list. Now I'm going to go back and double click each command and start editing. So this will actually be the number 1 key. This will be the number 2 key, the number 3 key, 4, skip 5, 6, 7, and 8. So with that, we have our command set. We have all of our key releases set. We have the key press 9 to bring up that view. The description is write MFD for that command, and we're adding it to the Snapviews category. Hit OK, and now we see that set up over here. One other quick tip, as you're creating views, or any command for that matter, you can actually right click here where it says like left console, and I can duplicate that one, and it'll bring that up. I just need to rename it down here in description as something else, and then you can just edit these keys accordingly instead of having to redo these over and over and over again. So for this next section, I want to get a little bit more into detail so you can actually see the settings that I have, and maybe it'll make a little more sense. We really need to focus on your return to center view. Very important to get off those snap views and back to your default view. So let's pull that one up first by double clicking. And here, these are just the keywords that I am using. You can use whatever you want. You may have one particular word you want to use, but I gave myself multiple choices in case maybe one word isn't recognized, or maybe I'm just not thinking and I try a different word. Center view, recenter, return view, reset, reset view, clear, center, rest. Any one of those words or phrases will enact this command and set us back to our default view. What's important to note here again is the release all of the other views before you actually open this view on a recenter command. It just needs to have the keys released. You don't actually have to press anything. So we want to release all of our keys, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't use 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I've set up to do a release on all of those keys whenever I call one of these words, and that will let that snap view be released and put me back into my default view. Let's look at left console. The only word I'm using here is left console, so no need to put any asterisks around it. It's a single command. Key presses, we're going to again release numbers for any of the views that we may already be in. And then my last command is going to be press and hold key 4. Set refuel. This is my custom view that I like for air-to-air refueling. I did put asterisks around this one just in case I wanted to add some extra commands. You don't have to. Again, asterisks only required if you're using multiple commands and you have a phrase rather than a single word. Here I'm releasing all of the keys. And my last key that I press is numpad 0. Here again, all the words that I'm using, you'll note Just like in the previous example, TGP, we had to space it out by letters. If you're going to do ILS as a command, same thing, space it out so it recognizes it as individual letters, ILS. Release all your keys with the last key press being key 6. My radios, it's either radios, show radios, radio stack, again, whatever you want. Release all the keys for the other views, and then enact the one key that'll bring up that view. Left MFD. This is my front dash view. The CDU. And we just did this one, the right MFD. All right, I hope this one helps you out. Pretty detailed compared to some of my other videos I've done. It does take a little bit of work, but if you've set up your Snapviews correctly in DCS, you should be able to set this up just fine in VoiceAttack. So again, the link will be out there in the descriptions for how to set up those Snapviews if you haven't done that yet. So keep on training and keep at it. SheepDog out.